Hi, today I'm gonna talk about the executive summary, which is the summary of overall environmental impact assessment. Environmental impact assessment or EIA is the framework for the development of the forest plantation in Gunung Inas Forest Reserve in Mungkin Kupang and Pulai district of Baling, Kedah. This project focuses on the planning and control the forest plantation operation and management impact on the adjacent area. This EIA report was carried out by project proponent, which is Kedah Eco Plantation, Sendirian Berhad, and EIA team consultants.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. My group and I will present about our EIA project report. Our project entitled Development of a Forest Plantation. This project will be held at the Gunung Inas Forest Reserve in Mukim Bakai Tupang and Pulai, district of Baling, Kedah, Darul Aman. The development of rubber forest plantation are planned by Menteri Besar Incorporated MBI with the total area involved about 5,000 hectares. The EIA is done to the several purposes. Firstly, is to provide information for decision making on the environmental consequence of proposed actions. EIA also to promote environmentally sound and sustainable development through the identification of appropriate enhancement and mitigation measures. The objective for this project are: first, to increase the latex yield. The increasing of latex yield are ensured through improved planting of selected cones and tapping system while harvesting timber. Second is to adapt silviculture practices in diversifying into other crops in areas that may not suitable to the rubber trees with consideration of biological diversity conservation. Third, to protect the nature and against degradation of natural disaster and other effects of ecological imbalance. Fourth, to implement and stabilize existing erosion and improve water quality. After that, to meet domestic and export demand for raw materials. By improved wood yield production from plantation forests, it can meet the demands, thus reducing reliance on natural forest extraction. Then, to obtain periodic revenue from this timber production on sustained yield basis. And lastly, to contribute growth of the local and national economics. This can be achieved by developing forest management and forest-based industry, and it creating opportunities for incoming generations and employment. The project activities comprise 8 stages of development, which is preliminary site investigation, land clearing and site preparation, nursery establishment, field maintenance, latex collection, timber harvesting, and replanting. These stages of development shall be carried out over a 27-year period.
Hi everyone, so I will be explaining on the statement of needs. So basically, the Gunung Inas Forest Reserve covers an area of about 5,000 hectares, and with the improvement and modernization of infrastructure and also the improvement in the water controls and management, it is expected that the efficiencies of the project will gradually increase. So, this forest is located very close to the Pedu Dam, which is very important and vital water catchment area in Kedah. So currently, the whole district has been learned that the land clearing activities in the 2 locations are intended to make the Ladang Rakyat's rubber plantation program, which is initiated by the state government. So basically, the forest will be cleared and replaced with the new rubber trees.
I am Leon and I want to discuss my part, which is project options. Project options is the evaluations of the available project options and the justifications for selecting the proposed project. It is divided into 6 parts, which are site option, project option, technology option, raw material options, construction method options, and operation options. For the project options, it can be evaluated as no project options and scaled down project options. No project options, which means no action will be taken. It will also cause the proposed project site remain as a natural forest with minimum disturbance from human activities. Therefore, this area will remain as wildlife area. Change in the hydrological patterns in the area will be very minimal. For the scaled down project options, the project sites of lockover forest will be converted into rubber forest plantation. The development of rubber forest plantation will provide employment opportunity for people in the rural area and help to sustain the wood-based industries. Hence, the proposed project has the potential to stimulate regional economic impacts. Environment considerations can be infused into the project development and management to minimize adverse impacts. Developing the lockover forest land is a step towards prosperity, and the development will give the people benefits in the surrounding areas over the long term.
Okay, so let's proceed with the project description. So this development of rubber plantation in Gunung Inas is integral with the growth and development of the plantation forest in Malaysia, with the aim of achieving sustainable yield of forest resources, environment conservation, and to strengthening the Malaysian timber industries. The EIA study has attempted to clarify and address the environmental impact of the proposed project development. So for the project location, the proposed project will be carried out in 2 parcels of land in Gunung Inas. The 2 land lots are identified as shown in the table. The parcel A is about 1,964 hectares in size, while parcel B is much larger at about 3,000 hectares. The nearest towns are Kupang and Baling, which is about 6 kilometers and 10 kilometers respectively south of the proposed project sites. The other nearest major town, which is located northeast of the proposed project site, is Sungai Petani, which is about 53 km away. Parcel A can be accessed through the Kupang and Grid Road, and Parcel B can be accessed via Kampung Bukit Hijau to Kampung Sungai Tawar. Rates 2.1 to 2.3 in the table. The access roads proposed are considered suitable as it does not encroach into any settlement or private land. So, for the project concept, the proposed project involves around 5,000 hectares of the land area, which is currently a predominantly log area forest. Each block had given permits to carry out logging activities from 2009 to 2012. The proposed project area will be converted into a monocrop forest plantation consisting of a large-scale rubber plantation to produce rubber timber, woods, and latex. The conversion will be carried out on lands with less than 25 degree slope and at elevation less than 1,000 meter above the MSI. The trees in the project site will be uniformly cut down. The clear felling process will be adopted prior to the conversion of the forest to a rubber forest plantation. The good agriculture practice will be adopted and implemented for this particular development. For terrains with greater than 250 slope, the affected land areas will not be developed into the rubber forest plantation. Large trees with 18 above ground level will be selectively felled using the chainsaw, while bushes and smaller trees with seeds above ground level will be left untouched. Control measures for the selective logging will be implemented following the Department of Forestry guidelines. For terrains with less than 250 slopes, clearing will be conducted using the bulldozer. Last but not least, the silviculture practices will also be implemented in rocky areas with slopes greater than 250. Silviculture is the act of renewing tree cover by establishing young trees naturally or artificially, generally promptly after the previous stand of forest has been removed. It will involve enrichment, planting, and maintenance.
My part is mainly describing an existing environment which are physical, biological and human. Firstly, I will talk about the physical existing environment which involve mainly in the land use of the area, topography, geology, soil, climate, hydrology, air, water quality and noise in around proposed project site. This is the land use of area which can be categorized in few categories, which is forest, where 250 square kilometer of forest land, which is tropical highland deep forest. For agriculture, where 37% of land for cultivation is used for rubber, oil palm and paddy plantation. The human settlement is where indicate 34 village brighten skill radius of study area. For the children class will be rolling and healing area, low educative area, and for the drainage system, which is mainly at Sungai Kupang and Sungai Tiap. Other than that, land use of the area, we also study other subjects as well as which is geology. There are two types of geology, which is granite rock and metasedimentary. The 90% of land is granite rock, and other than that is metasedimentation. As for soil, there are different types of soil that can be found in the area, which are regam, berserah, baling, lambak, jeregak, cereal soil. As few observations indicate that the most of the topsoil in the study area will completely form thick soil profile due to raining and warm climate change. Most of the soil has transformed into lateritic soil, which is more loose and it may cause erosion and it can be dangerous for people when the project has been done. For meteorological condition, mainly the study of the climate in the area, which is a occasional monsoon with high temperature and rainfall throughout the year. Almost half of the annual rainfall is recorded during the month of November, December and January, which is categorized rainfall during the northeast monsoon. The salt southwest monsoon has little effect on the study area because of the presence of the central mountain rain. The temperatures are relatively uniform throughout the year with around 26.5 Celsius with high humidity. The total mean rainfall from 2003 to 2002 was 1,960 millimeter rain per year. For the wind speed range is 1.3 meter per second to 3.5 meter per second. The hydrology is where the main river can be used by the residential such as at Sungai Ketil, Sungai Kupang and Sungai Tiap. There are also mini hydropower plant at Sungai Tawau Besar as well. Other than that, we also discuss about air quality, noise and water quality. The air quality in the proposed project site can be described as good. The parameters taken for monitoring are total suspended particulate, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide and lead. The noise level monitoring in the proposed project site also will be carried out on the location of the sampling site are the same as in the air quality monitoring station. The main source of noise are from vehicle and public activity. The man-induced and natural noise will not affect human and biodiversity. For water quality of the river and stream around the proposed project site was determined by collecting and analyzed samples from 15 selected stations where the parameter measure are COD, BOD, DO, pH and nutrients. Water quality index that calculate based on the water quality index Malaysia that give the result all the water in the project site are considered clean. Now, for existing environment biological which involve flora and fauna of the forest. There are several types of flora that can be found, which is kedondon tree and kausar tree. As for fauna, we use 3 types of data gathering. For the first method, we conduct interview with local surround village logging camp worker and the Department of Forestry and Department of Wildlife and National Park officer. Most of the questions asked are associated with existing and history of wildlife. Second method, using literature reading, published and unpublished report on the study of wildlife from the proposed area were gathered for reference and comparison. And third method, detailed field study and sampling. More time was spent on the forest area that have already logged and planned area. And lastly, for existing human environment, the socio-economic survey involved a public opinion poll gathered through a questionnaire survey. There are 462 respondents were drawn randomly from several villages. The total population Baling district of over 100,000 people in 2010. And for characteristic of study area, the study area cover a 5 km radius from the proposed project boundary and composed of human settlement of village and town. It's have about 10,000 people living in that area. All the survey are conducted on the perception and opinion of the resident there.
The significant environmental impact to be concerned is erosion with subsequent river pollution, which is any activity which exposes bare soil to rain and sun will result in increased erosion. The activity that particularly causes erosion in forestry are first road building, second clearing for conversion, third land preparation for planting including terracing. Excessive canopy opening during harvest will further increase erosion rate. Second impact is hydrological change, which is a clearing or harvesting operation of some kind ultimately disrupt the surface of the soil and the remaining vegetative cover. This have implication for site hydrology, which must be understood in order to consider other related impact. Then loss of or change to habitat. Forestry use plant and therefore can eventually cause a change or even destruction of new or established ecosystem. Then waste and biomass handling. Savage is usually created by people at the project site during logging and conversion activity. But improper disposal of biomass into stream and river will obstruct and pollute them, thereby posing a danger to downstream settlement. Last, river or soil pollution by hazardous substances. If appropriate steps are not taken, two classes of hazardous substances may cause negative impact from forestry operation, which is first sewage, second agrochemical.
Mitigation measures. This chapter will cover the major mitigation measures for the environmental impacts identified. It is anticipated that the proposed mitigation measures recommended in the various phases of the project development would be able to address and minimize various issues on the environment. Some potential impacts may remain, although all mitigation measures has been carried out due to the limitation of inefficiencies of the methods adopted during the project implementation. These are categorized as residual impacts. Key mitigation measures. First, erosion with subsequent river pollution. Field activities must be directed to select scope, technology, and methodologies to avoid the key issue of river degradation from erosion material. This can principally be done in two ways. First, selecting scope, technologies, and methodologies to minimize soil erosion. And second, implementing measures to control erosion material from entering the waterways. The mitigation that can be considered for minimizing soil erosion are restricting slope length, location of woody debris, phasing operation, and minimizing soil exposure. The mitigation measure can be considered for preventing eroded material from enter into the waterway include discharging to vegetation, drainage system, and working pattern. River or soil pollution by hazardous substances. Current legislation is strict on handling and storage of hazardous materials. There are no options for just diverting the pollutants away from the waterways as for erosion material. The mitigation measures that can be considered for the management of hazardous substances include minimizing use of agrochemicals and management of used containers and contaminated equipment. Loss or changes to habitat. Forestry will alter the habitats through removal of forestry products through alteration of species composition and densities. To optimize this problem, the following options are available to the project proponents. Approach to activities which will allow for major wildlife to seek refuge elsewhere. Second, control site clearing shall be implemented starting from forest edge toward forested area. This would encourage wildlife to move from the area of work and to escape into neighboring forest nearby. Waste and biomass handling. Waste management is already subjected to several legal requirements which must be respected. The mitigation measures that can be considered for waste management are establish system for storing, sorting, and disposing waste at a safe distance from the water courses. Waste cans shall be routinely collected with appropriate garbage bins at the strategic site. On-site suitable portable and temporary toilets will be provided with septic tanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Priya Murugan. I'm here to explain about my part, which is mitigation measure. First and foremost, Environmental Management Plan (EMP) is a site-specific plan developed to ensure that all necessary control measures are identified and implemented in order to protect the environment and comply with the environmental law and legislation. The purpose is to operate as an effective tool to reduce the environmental negative impacts that mainly caused by the project development. The EMP consists of the following elements. First, a structural plan for implements mitigation measure of predicted environmental impacts. Second, an environmental monitoring program. Then, an environmental audit program. Lastly, an remedial action plan. EMP during the construction phase. First, control of contamination. The fuel, lubricant, solvents that are required for construction machinery must be stored in order. Procedure within specially designated and clearly marked area on site. Second, control of airborne emission. Open burning of cleared vegetation, debris and development waste should not be allowed unless prior approval is obtained from Director General of Department of Environment. Third, waste management. Development waste will be stockpiled in order procedure at designated location on site. Waste will be removed from the site and disposed of at licensed facility on a routine basis. Fourth, schedule waste management. The contractor shall ensure that the scheduled waste generated by them are properly stored. Next, EMP during operational phase. First, waste management. Prior to handing over to local authority, non-hazardous and domestic solid waste should be managed properly by ensuring regular collection of waste. Adequate and strategically located collection areas should be provided. All solid waste should be disposed of at approval landfill site. Second, wildlife management plan. The project management will discuss with the authority in any suitable preventing action, get endorsement from the authority to practice any problem solving solution methods which might infringe the law. Prior to conduct any action, consultation from the Department of Wildlife and National Park would be sought. Finally, spillage contingency plan. This is an emergency involving spillage or leakage of chemicals, compounds that can be danger to life, property as well as cause environmental damage. Spillage are unintentionally and uncontrollably release of material into the environment. First, response strategy. Second, response procedure. So when the spillage occurs, firstly, the person who discovered the spillage should report the incident to the safety officer or site manager. Second, alert the contractor to check extent of spillage. Finally, locate store of spillage and stop or control immediately by referring to MSDS, which is Material Safety Data Sheet.
So now I will talk about summary of our project about the development of a forest plantation in the Gunung Inas Forest Reserve, Pulai, Baling, Kedah. The EIA studies has attempt to clarify and address the environmental impacts of the proposed project development with respect the physical, ecological and socio-economic effects associated with the implementation of the project. The deduction and interpretation made here are based on the studies carried out as outlined in earlier sections of this EIA report and on best available information from other sources. Next, so I will mention some principal findings and recommendations for this studies area, which is the first one. This project is not a deforestation project. Second, there will not be any acquisition of private or public property for the project development. The third one, land area with the proposed project site with slope more than 25 degrees and land areas at elevation greater than 100 meters. 4. It is recommended that MPI prepare a common plan for land clearing that must be used by every forest or timber concession holder. Next, number 5. It is recommended that the logging and land clearing activities in the proposed project site be carried out block by block. Number 6. Several sediment taps has been proposed to the constructor during the development of this project as outlined in the EFTP report. And the last one is clearing and earthwork should be avoided during the monsoon season to minimize soil erosion problems. So there are 7 principal findings and recommendations for our project that I mentioned. So that's all from me. Thank you.